Catherine has provided the public with many moments of celebration, never looking out of place or as anything other than the future Queen of the United Kingdom. She is one of the most recognisable women in the world, a fashion icon, a champion of charitable causes, and a princess.
Catherine, the Princess of Wales, a figure who has journeyed from ordinary beginnings to stand among Britain's most recognised faces.
Catherine, Princess of Wales, is the charming home counties girl whose life has brought her to the heart of the royal family's centuries-old tale.
Her authenticity never dimming despite the weight of expectation. Together with William, they navigate the delicate balance between honouring ancient traditions and speaking to a generation that craves connection over ceremony. Catherine moves through royal life as though she was always meant for it, her future as queen consort written in every confident step. Hello everyone, welcome back to where we unpack the moments that make the monarchy matter, where a single glance can shift power and a carefully timed smile becomes front-page news. Today we're diving into an evening that became the talk of diplomatic circles, a night when Catherine proved that influence has nothing to do with volume and everything to do with timing. Picture an opulent state dinner, where centuries of tradition filled every corner, and political stakes hung heavy in the perfumed air. Right at the crucial moment, Catherine made a choice so understated that many almost missed it. Yet that simple decision rewrote the entire trajectory of high-level talks with Qatar's Emir.
So we've been seeing in the last hour these pictures of the state banquet for the Qatari Emir in London.
He arrived carrying tough negotiating positions and left singing her praises loud enough for international headlines. Those rigid demands that had British officials losing sleep. They evaporated like steam. No lengthy debates needed, no political maneuvering required, just authentic human warmth cutting through layers of diplomatic ice. One deliberate choice revealing why she's being called the monarchy's secret weapon. Before we break down exactly how she pulled this off and what it means for Britain's global relationships, go ahead and hit that like button, then subscribe. We go beyond what others report, finding the story within the story. Now let's rewind to the crucial weeks before this unforgettable encounter. Building toward a critical moment. Catherine's journey back to full royal duties had been measured and intentional after facing a year that challenged her in profound ways. Each public appearance since her return carried weight, chosen strategically for maximum impact rather than simply filling a calendar. Palace watchers noted how selective she'd become, appearing only when her presence could genuinely matter. When the announcement came about Qatar's state visit, official statements emphasized partnership and friendship between the two nations. But anyone reading between diplomatic lines could sense underlying complexity. The Emir wasn't simply dropping by for ceremonial tea and photo opportunities. His team brought proposals regarding substantial financial ventures, energy sector collaborations that could reshape economic dynamics in ways that made some UK officials distinctly uneasy. Behind palace doors, preparation meetings stretched long into evenings. Every element faced scrutiny, from seating arrangements designed to facilitate specific conversations to the precise wording of welcoming remarks. William stood as her steady companion throughout, his presence a reminder that they faced these challenges as a unit. Yet something about this visit felt different. Catherine wouldn't just stand and wave. She had a part to play that went deeper than smiling for cameras. As royal motorcades prepared their routes and security teams finalized protocols, an interesting truth emerged. Sometimes the most significant diplomatic breakthroughs happen not in formal negotiating rooms, but in moments of genuine human exchange. And Catherine was about to demonstrate exactly what that looks like. The curtain rises on ceremony. The official welcome unfolded with the precision Britain has perfected over centuries. At Horse Guards Parade, beneath autumn skies that seemed painted specifically for the occasion, Catherine and William greeted the Emir and Sheikha Jawahar with warmth that felt both regal and genuine. Catherine had chosen a coat in forest green that commanded attention while respecting the formality of the moment, her presence radiating confidence. But seasoned observers knew this ceremonial greeting was merely the opening act. The real test would come later, when Buckingham Palace opened its doors for the state banquet. These elaborate dinners serve a purpose beyond feeding guests exquisite food. They're designed to build bridges, to create atmospheres where difficult conversations become easier, where political adversaries might find common ground over shared courses. What most people don't realize is how much invisible work goes into these events. Catherine had invested considerable time understanding Qatar's cultural landscape, familiarizing herself with their values and traditions in ways that went far beyond what any briefing paper could provide. She'd identified potential conversational bridges, topics that could connect across cultural differences. William, understanding the pressure she might feel, kept the mood balanced during their private preparations, his humor a release valve when stress built too high. But beneath their easy partnership, real concerns simmered. Intelligence suggested the Qatari delegation came prepared to push hard on agreements that would significantly benefit their interests, possibly at Britain's expense. The Emir had a well-earned reputation for leaving negotiations with favorable terms, his team skilled at applying pressure while maintaining diplomatic courtesy. This is where Catherine's role took on special significance. She wasn't there to debate economic policy or challenge legal frameworks. Her assignment was more nuanced and potentially more powerful. She was there to remind everyone in that room that beneath the titles and national interests, they were all human beings capable of connection. As the day progressed through scheduled events, a formal lunch where conversation stayed safely pleasant, everyone moved toward the evening's centerpiece. Catherine changed into her banquet gown, an elegant creation in champagne tones with subtle embellishments that paid quiet respect to Middle Eastern aesthetics, and something shifted in her demeanor. This wasn't just another obligation to fulfill. This was an opportunity to demonstrate that diplomacy at its highest level is deeply personal. King Charles, catching sight of her before they descended, offered an encouraging smile. The palace seemed to vibrate with anticipation. What none of them fully appreciated yet was how one woman's instinct for authentic connection would transform what everyone expected to be a tense evening into something remarkable. When worlds meet at the table. As guests arrived and the banquet hall's massive doors opened, the scene that greeted them was nothing short of breathtaking. Endless tables dressed in pristine linens, every place setting arranged with museum-quality porcelain and crystal that refracted light into rainbow fragments. Fresh blooms gathered from the palace's historic gardens created living sculptures down the table's length, their scent mixing with expensive perfume and the subtle aroma of world-class cuisine being prepared just out of sight. Catherine moved to her assigned position with fluid grace, settling between William and a senior member of the Qatari delegation, her attention immediately focused and engaged. Conversation began its careful dance, starting with safe topics before gradually venturing into more substantial territory. The Emir, positioned near King Charles, maintained the bearing of someone who'd navigated countless such events. His responses were thoughtful, measured, but those trained to read subtext noticed how he consistently steered discussions toward Qatar's interests. He'd mention investment opportunities that sounded mutually beneficial, but carried implications that made British economic advisors shift uncomfortably. This was diplomacy as a chess match, every comment a move with consequences. Catherine observed all of this while participating in her own conversations, her engagement genuine rather than performative. She'd discovered during her preparation that Qatar celebrated certain family-oriented festivals and found an organic moment to mention how similar celebrations brought joy to her own children. The connection was immediate, laughter rippling outward, tension easing by degrees. William noticed, catching her eye with a look that communicated volumes of appreciation. As exquisite courses arrived in sequence, From delicate beginnings to substantial main presentations, the evening's energy evolved. Toasts approached, those crucial speeches where the wrong emphasis or misplaced word could undermine weeks of preparation. Sources later described the atmosphere as charged, everyone aware that this evening's success or failure would influence future relations. Yet Catherine remained centered, completely present. During a brief lull, she engaged Sheikha Jawaher in conversation about a striking piece of jewelry, listening with obvious interest as the story behind it unfolded. These moments of personal connection were being carefully woven together, thread by thread. What remained hidden from everyone watching was that Catherine was about to make a choice so simple, yet so perfectly timed that it would alter everything following. The instant that shifted everything. As the banquet reached its emotional peak, chandeliers casting their warmth across animated faces and musicians filling silences with carefully chosen melodies, the evening's defining moment approached. King Charles delivered opening remarks that balanced tradition with contemporary warmth, including phrases in Arabic that drew genuine appreciation. The Emir responded with his own speech, gracious in tone, yet layered with those subtle references to expectations his team carried. References to collaboration that really meant specific concessions, mentions of partnership that implied terms favorable to Qatari expansion. The room absorbed every word, understanding the weight beneath the pleasant surface. Catherine sat with perfect composure, her jewelry catching light, but her awareness was total. She'd studied the Emir's negotiating history, understood his pattern of securing advantageous terms through persistence, wrapped in charm. But she also recognized something others might overlook. Even the most experienced negotiators are human beings first. As dessert service began, artistic creations that looked too beautiful to disturb, conversation at her section of table shifted naturally. Sheikha Jawaher spoke about her children's accomplishments, her entire energy transforming with that glow every parent knows. Catherine responded with equal warmth, sharing an anecdote about Prince Louis's latest adventure, creating an instant bond through the universal language of motherhood. The Emir, drawn into this exchange, leaned slightly forward, his carefully maintained diplomatic expression softening at the edges. This is when Catherine acted, not with announcement or fanfare, just pure instinct honed through years of reading people and moments. As conversation flowed, she reached across the small space between herself and Sheikha Jawaher. Not a formal gesture bound by protocol, but something warmer. Her hand covered Sheikha's briefly, a fleeting touch that communicated understanding beyond words. Her gaze then lifted naturally, meeting the Emir's eyes across the table, holding that connection with an expression of pure, genuine respect for the shared moment. The transformation was immediate and unmistakable. Something in the room's atmosphere changed, as though someone had opened a window, letting fresh air sweep through. The Emir's response was visible, his features relaxing, a genuine smile replacing the diplomatic mask. He lifted his glass in a toast, but not to policy or agreements. His words focused on Catherine herself, praising her authenticity in a world often lacking it. Around the room, advisors and officials exchanged significant glances. The dynamic had just shifted in ways that would take hours to fully process. Those firm negotiating positions the Emir had maintained, they began softening in real time. The demanding tone that had characterized earlier discussions transformed into something more collaborative, more flexible. Catherine hadn't argued any point or challenged any proposal. She'd simply created a moment of human connection so genuine, it reminded everyone at that table what really matters. Understanding the power of simple actions. This gesture deserves examination because it represents something rare in modern international relations. It wasn't theatrical or calculated for effect. Earlier that day, Catherine had executed a perfect curtsy before King Charles, demonstrating her command of formal protocol. She'd waved to gathered crowds with practiced warmth, but this moment at the banquet was entirely different in character. As Sheikha Jawahar shared a meaningful story about perseverance in the face of challenges, Catherine listened with complete focus, the kind of attention that makes speakers feel truly heard. Then came that natural extension of her hand, fingers making brief contact that somehow communicated solidarity, respect, recognition of shared humanity. The Emir had been in mid-explanation about a partnership framework that had British officials mentally preparing counterpoints when this happened. His train of thought visibly paused. His eyes registered the gesture, then found Catherine's face, and something fundamental shifted behind his expression. Diplomatic protocol typically maintains careful distance, especially in high-stakes situations. Yet here was genuine warmth cutting through all that formality. He carefully set down his utensils, that small action somehow significant. In the quiet that followed, he turned his full attention to Catherine, his tone becoming that of someone addressing a friend rather than a diplomatic counterpart. His praise came from an authentic place, acknowledging not her title, but her character. Her strength through recent challenges, her dedication to family, her rare ability to remain genuine despite constant scrutiny. Those present say his words carried real emotion, unscripted and heartfelt. And with that shift came tangible changes in the evening's trajectory. Those demanding partnership terms that heavily favored Qatar, they receded significantly. The insistence on specific concessions softened into genuine openness for balanced collaboration. William, recognizing what had just occurred, pressed her hand beneath the table in silent celebration. King Charles, from his position, showed clear approval through a subtle nod. The final toasts of the evening took on entirely different character than anyone had anticipated. Officials scrambled to adjust their mental frameworks, realizing follow-up discussions would move in unexpected directions. Catherine, maintaining her characteristic humility, redirected attention toward shared values and common ground. But the impact continued, spreading outward like ripples. Those who work closest to the royal family described this as her particular gift, the ability to dissolve barriers through dignified authenticity. In a world built on rigid positions and careful calculation, she operates through something far more fluid and ultimately more effective. Watching the transformation complete. What unfolded through the banquet's remaining time played out with unexpected grace. As coffee service commenced with its elegant ritual, the Emir's entire presence had transformed. Gone was the guarded posture, arms no longer crossed defensively. Instead, he engaged with open body language, hands gesturing freely as he spoke with genuine animation. Topics of conversation shifted noticeably. Less focus on contractual details and economic frameworks, more discussion about lasting legacy and shared values. He actively sought Catherine's perspective on supporting young people, asked thoughtful questions about maintaining authenticity while living under constant observation, drew her into exchanges that had nothing to do with state business and everything to do with meaningful human connection. Palace photographers captured this evolution without fully grasping its significance. Later images show the Emir engaged in animated conversation, his expression more open than diplomatic veterans had seen in years. By the time guests began rising from their seats, those contentious demands that had British officials concerned had essentially been set aside. In their place emerged commitments to partnerships that genuinely honored both nations' interests. George and Charlotte listened with wonder as their parents recounted the evening's success. This was victory not just for an institution, but for the person who represents it with such genuine heart. Seeing the larger pattern emerge. Step back from this single evening and a much broader picture becomes visible. This wasn't an isolated incident in Catherine's evolving story. It connects to everything she's been building since joining the royal family. After months away from public view to focus on recovery and family, Her return has been purposeful and strategic, each appearance carefully selected to communicate strength and renewed commitment. This banquet revealed her evolution into something beyond the traditional royal spouse role. She's become a genuine force in what analysts call soft power, that subtle ability to influence through connection rather than authority or coercion. Those who work alongside her describe someone who studies people as carefully as she studies protocols, someone who seems to anticipate emotional needs with remarkable accuracy. This evening's gesture echoed patterns from her entire journey, particularly how she's transformed personal challenges into sources of deeper empathy and connection. For William, watching this unfold reinforced what makes their partnership so uniquely effective. His protective presence throughout the evening spoke to their shared vision for what modern monarchy should represent. And for their children at home in Windsor, the stories they'd hear about their mother's diplomatic success would teach them that genuine influence flows from kindness rather than position. The Emir's transformed stance and his abandonment of those one-sided proposals highlighted something significant. Catherine's appeal genuinely transcends cultural boundaries and geographic borders. Her particular combination of respecting tradition while embracing contemporary authenticity disarms even experienced negotiators. Sources indicate this shift influenced subsequent discussions between Britain and Qatar, opening pathways to more equitable agreements that might not have emerged through traditional channels. Yet the real significance lies in the personal dimension. In an unguarded moment with staff following the event, Catherine reflected on how the gesture reminded her of grounding moments with her own children, that same instinct to create connection through simple touch. She humanized the grandeur, acknowledging that royals seek genuine connection just like everyone else. King Charles personally expressed his gratitude through a private note, recognizing her impact. Queen Camilla, though not present, expressed quiet admiration for what had been accomplished. This is monarchy actively evolving, becoming less about spectacle and more about substance, with Catherine serving as its empathetic center. For a family that has navigated profound loss and relentless scrutiny, moments like this provide validation. They affirm the path being chosen and reinforce why Catherine resonates so deeply with people globally. Her gestures aren't diplomatic techniques learned from training manuals. They're extensions of her fundamental nature, someone who instinctively seeks unity and understanding. One gesture, one moment of authentic human connection, transforming everything that followed. So, what's your perspective on this remarkable moment? Does it change how you view modern royalty's role as connection builders rather than distant figures? Or does this simply add another chapter to Catherine's evolving story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We genuinely read every perspective, and they matter to this conversation. If this story resonated with you, press that like button. Share with anyone who appreciates the power of authentic connection. And subscribe to stay connected with royal stories that reveal deeper truths. Until next time, remember that the most powerful moments often arrive wrapped in the simplest packages.